welcome to Spirited Connections, an opportunity for us to interview cheeky, inspirational and spirited Australians. William Ward said that if you believe it, you can achieve it. If you dream it, you can become it. And today we're speaking with Chris Judd, someone who really has become his dreams. An AFL legend, Norm Smith Medal recipient, most valuable player, 2 times Brownlow medalist, and a most successful post-AFL life. We hope you enjoy our first Spirit Ambassador profile.
Make a very good fist of it. Judd, oh, brilliant gather by the champ. Goes with the left boot. How does he manage this? It's supernatural.
Thank you for that kind introduction, Katie.
So, Chris, you and I have many similarities. You know, we've both had outstanding football careers. We both believe Spirit Telecom and Trident offer some of the best product sets on offer in Australia. We know that the Spirit executive is some of the finest business minds in the country, and we're both invested in this organisation. So, as a fellow Australian rules football player, I think I understand some of your life, you know, the accolades, the free drinks, automatic entry into the mahogany room, the awards, the groin injuries, the nail breakages, and I really want to explore some of these themes with you today.
Looking forward to it, Katie. It's a big honour. I grew up watching you play football, and they say you should never meet your heroes, but I have a feeling today is going to be different.
So there is one big difference between us, Chris, is that I continue to play in my career.
Yes.
But don't worry about that. We could say that you're a has-been, but I always like to say it's better to have been a has-been than a never was. So let's just go down that path today.
Sounds good.
I think we start with a visual collage of some of the similarities in our career. And we're going to start with your endurance. So I think that on the field, Chris, you know, when it came to the premiership quarter 4, you can see that you really started to need a little bit more Gatorade at quarter time than normal. What do you think of your endurance?
Look, it's not bad. I mean, most people call the premiership quarter the third quarter, but interestingly, you've sort of viewed that as the fourth. But look, I think it was okay. There's always room for improvement, Katie, but I think it was okay, my endurance.
I've got an image up here, you know, just about marathons. I think, you know, if I look at, okay, I've done 7 marathons and you've done none, and you were actually in a car going around the MCG. Is that really something, is that a little bit soft? Do you think that was a part of your play that really you and I could explore together, making you more of a hard man?
Look, I think, to be honest, that sort of aligns to my love of Spirit Telecom, the fact that I was embracing technology and, you know, once upon a time, man and woman, they walked the earth, then they introduced the horse and cart, and then they brought in automobiles. And at the end of my career, I felt it was time to move away from sort of using my own limbs per se and to come off on the cart. So I think it was a testament to my affection for technology.
Beautiful, because I think the speed of Spirit Telecom links are exceptional. And I want to talk about your speed. That's where I felt that those marathon runs might have just given you that little bit of endurance, that when you do that quick 50-minute run when you get the ball, I think you could have gone a bit faster. You know, it looked like a few of them could catch you, and then we're going to talk about accuracy. So I think that's another area where really I can help you with that. And a really good tip is what I like to do, particularly in stage 4 COVID. I put the garbage bin 16 metres away from me, and I continue to kick into it. And I think that's something that we could do together. We both live near each other. We could do that together. I also think that, Chris, you could have benefited from doing a few more drop punts.
Okay.
I've always been a fan of the drop punt. I think it should be used more in the game. It created a better spectacle. Did you ever do any drop punts?
The drop kick, no, not so much, Katie. It wasn't part of my repertoire, but these are all very good suggestions. I'll actually take them down to Teague at Carlton. Maybe the current day players could learn something from these training techniques as well.
I think so, and I'm really open to being a conditioning coach down there. You know, do you think you've stayed in shape?
Oh, my body's a temple, Katie. I mean, when you have a temple, it's something you value very highly, and you never let that go.
Yeah, I put an image up here, Chris. I was just talking about whether you've ever done a triathlon. Have you?
No, I never done a triathlon. I'm more into contact, sort of extreme sports. The triathlon's sort of, it's like a sleep while you're moving, I always thought.
Yeah, it seems that you'd like to go for that soft option. If you look at that image, you're doing the baby surfing type of stuff. That image was probably taken quite a while ago. Your body looks pretty fit right there. But we can talk about how we can get you back to that six-pack state again.
I think that boogie board shot is fake news. I don't think I've ever held a boogie board, and I find that not aligned to my brand at all, to be honest, Katie. I'm not sure where that photo's come from, but I don't think it's real.
Next to you in that one, so I'll show you that full image later. Now, Chris, I've got some video footage of both of our first goals, and I'd like you to have a look at that. So we see you created some space. You're pretty close to the goal, so it was kind of a gimme, but
Got a sharp angle, Katie.
it was a sharp angle. It really was. And so how many games did you play before you got your first goal?
That was my first game, Katie. Game was up for grabs if you look at the scoreboard too. So I don't want to sort of bang on about it too much, but pretty important in the state of the game, that one.
They're very comfortable banging on that. So if you look at my first goal, I was maybe about 50 centimetres out.
Yeah.
And I kicked a soccer kick off the ground. Unfortunately, there was a girl lying in front of it, and I've actually kicked the ball right up her placum. But it wasn't I celebrated like a soccer player. We lifted the jumper, very excited, but the umpire had actually left the flag on the ground, so it wasn't actually a goal. Tell me about your relationship with umpires, Chris. Do you think
they're very smart judges of talent, umpires. There's no doubt about that. They get it right, and history will say that time and time again, particularly with individual awards. They have a habit of making the right choices, so I think they do a terrific job.
Talk about the chicken wing tackle.
Yep.
Let's look at the images. Mine was accidental. Was yours?
Yeah, I was just ahead of my time with that, Katie. You know, a bit like Van Gogh, he wasn't appreciated during his life, but you've found a lot of the players using the chicken wing tackle technique now. And was that one of my legacies? Probably was, but misunderstood at the time. But I think now it's an integral part of tackling technique.
Did you get done for that chicken wing tackle?
I had a small holiday. Yeah, I took a month off.
Okay, I'm going to talk about keeping your feet, and I think this is an area where you could really improve.
Yeah.
So we've got two images here of both of us being tackled. If you look, you're nearly on the ground. It looks like you're being tackled by Paddy Dangerfield, and he was pretty soft, so you really should have been able to keep your feet with that one. If you look at my image, I'm keeping my feet on upright. I think the ball was actually about 20 metres away, so I'm not sure why the girl continued to hold me, but I kept it. What my theory is, Chris, is that you had so much shoulder tape on that it actually made you not keep your balance. What do you think of that?
I mean, the shoulder strapping, billboards was a new form of media advertising, really found its legs in the 80s and 90s. And to be honest, that's what the shoulder strapping was. It was an opportunity for corporate Australia to join forces with one of the leading on-field forces, and could never get a sale up. But if Spirit were around back then and their marketing team were as powerful as they are now, I think that would have been a perfect alignment.
We could have had Spirit on your tape.
Right.
And that would have been a beautiful fashion statement, and the Spirit exec would have really rolled with that. The whole of Australia would have started to see how fast Spirit was. Maybe you weren't the right player to have the Spirit logo on your jumper, because we really did want someone to Beautiful image, something that we're very similar at the end, Chris. Both of us celebrated the premiership. The cups are a little bit different. Mine's actually got handwritten Premiers 2019. But Chris, we're going to start getting serious now. Okay, we're going to talk about some questions. Tell me, have you ever taken a free kick and run back to take it and then faced the wrong way?
I don't think so, Katie, no. No, that was one of my strengths, always knowing which way we were going. I prided myself on that.
Okay. Do you think the Brownlow is as prestigious as the Most Improved Award, Coaches Award?
I think Brownlow is as prestigious as the Nobel Peace Prize, to be honest. And people that win it are as important as winners of that award. So that's where I rank it in world awards, yeah.
You wear it to bed, or both of them to bed?
Well, when you've got that many of them, you just have them scattered around everywhere, and you put them on whenever you feel like it. But most days they get a run just to remind the kids of what their dad is.
What is their dad?
An unemployed board ex-footballer.
Good shareholder.
Those share prices don't check themselves, Katie. You know that, don't you?
Absolutely do not. And I think after this interview, they're going to rise considerably. Do you think humility is one of your strong points?
Well, there's so many, Katie. There's so many strong points. I think humility is definitely one. Rugged, good looks, voracious work appetite. You know, there's lots of things, Katie, but humility is one, definitely. Yep.
Chris, I'm going to talk about the morning of the grand final. Okay.
Sure.
So I know you haven't done 2 in 1 year, but what do you do in that morning?
Well, just clean the cupboards out. You know, I know I'm going to come home that night and there's going to be new medals and trophies in there from sort of whether it's Norm Smiths or, you know, Premiership captain or all of the above. So main thing is just making some room for the new silverware that I know is going to be coming that night.
Okay, well, I love your confidence. I'm going to give you a bit of my morning for a grand final. I do the washing. I cook about 7 casseroles. I iron the kids' school clothes. I probably vacuum to get ready for the school week, and I organise the babysitters so I can go and play. And that really puts me in the position. But I think that's female multitasking, which is why Spirit is starting a Spirited Women's Group, which will include our own staff as well as our external clients to promote diversity and be an organisation that everyone wants to be a part of. So I'd love to have a chat to you about that. It's a great initiative that we've put together. And I'm sure the women would love to hear from you about what you do before a premiership. And by the sounds of it, you'd be love to tell all those women about how great you are. So I'm going to think about this for a speaker.
I think I'm just what the group needs to get that group moving. So I'm more than happy to be a part of that.
That will attract a lot of talent.
Yeah.
So, all right, tell me, you know, the game today, you know, I want to talk about, do you think it's easier for the players? You know, when do you think the pinnacle of the AFL spectacle was?
Well, I think they're two different things. I think the pinnacle of the spectacle was mid-90s football, when there was space in the forward line and the deep forwards would lead up at the ball. And so when blokes would break in the middle of the ground, there'd be some space. And I think that really showcased how good footy players' skills are. But in terms of when the game has been at its hardest, I think just today, it's just brutal. The aerobic requirements of the players and how hard they have to train it and how hard they hit. Even when I played, and this is getting, you know, mildly serious, there are only a few players in each team that could really tackle well. You know, it wasn't something I spent a lot of time doing or enjoying, but now they all tackle, you know, really well. And if you don't, you don't play. And the body contact that's not just from a couple of hard players in the team, but right throughout the team is just brutal. So I think the game's never been harder, but I think as a spectacle, I think the mid-90s, for mine anyway, was the type of footy I enjoyed watching the most.
My personal opinion, though, is that, and I think whilst I don't look it, I think I'm a fair bit older than you, is, you know, the early 70s, you know, when the men were so hard, they'd come out in their dressing gowns at quarter time. You know, my favourite coach's speech, you know, 1970, Bulldogs, round 5 against Hawthorn, Bulldogs led the whole way. EJ Whitten comes out, tells them, you know, I want guts and I want glory and I want you to stick them up them. That is my favourite coach's speech. And I love YouTubing coaches' sprays. Tell me about the best spray you've ever had from a coach.
I liked a coach I had that, they're hard to explain. Had a few props around toilet paper and said maybe a player needed to use some because of a contest he just had on the wing, and he thought there was something leaking out of his pants and he needed to clean it up. Yeah, look, they're going out of the game a bit. You know, they still happen from time to time, but you know, the current players, they didn't get yelled at school, and it's not a way they're programmed to respond to. You know, back in the 70s and 80s, kids were sort of getting the strap at school and getting screamed at if they did something wrong, and they graduated from that into footy and they sort of responded to that same treatment. So it gets pulled out every now and then from the coaches, but it's pretty rare nowadays. But I do love those old speeches as well. I know the Ted Whitten one you're talking about, some of the John Kennedy ones are just brilliant to listen to.
Anything, you know, he's one of my favourites.
Yeah, and I had a coach like that in under 16s, a guy, David Dixon, who used to do those sort of speeches, and I was just entranced, you know, particularly at that age when you're a teenager, where you're, you know, you're easily moved. He could just get me to do whatever he wanted, run through brick walls, wouldn't matter, and he was that type of orator. So that they are good. They're a dying thing in the game, but they are special to listen to.
Look, I know that the CEO of Spirit Telecom, Sol Lukatsky, He gives a brilliant halftime speech in our executive meetings, and it really does rev us up.
What sort of a player was Sol?
What's that? Sorry, Chris.
What sort of a football player was Sol? Remember, he was a bit outside, wasn't he? He was a bit, just used to hang around on the wings looking for an easy ball.
If he played football like he runs this organisation, he would have been very strategic, extremely tactful, never afraid to go for the hard ball, and very, very accurate. So I feel our shares and our staff are in very, very good hands.
Oh, I like it, Katie. I like it.
Really good CEO. Chris Judd, you are an absolute champion. So much fun. Congratulations on having a very successful post-football life. And when you want to start getting fast and accurate, you give me a yell.
Thanks, Katie. Thanks for the chat. It was good fun.
Thank you for joining us on Spirited Connections. What a terrific bloke Chris Judd is, a fabulous ambassador for the Spirit Telecom brand. I'm looking forward to interviewing many more Australians, and thank you for joining me.